Good morning, everyone, and welcome. My name is Norm Hoffer, and I'm the proud minister of this congregation, the Universalist Unitarian Church of Halifax, established here in 1837. Jessica Friesen is our music director, Marie-Claude Leroux is our director of religious exploration, and John Piccolo is our technician. We have a special guest this morning, a jaunt, who will be properly introduced in due course. During the service today, the chat function will be available, and I invite you to extend your hospitality by saying hello to everyone that you don't recognize, or anyone that you don't recognize. If you're new or returning after an absence, you may want to leave your contact information in the chat section, or if you're not already receiving notifications from our church and you'd like to receive them, then please send email to minister@uuch.ca. Before the service begins, I have just a few announcements. The order of service for today was sent out over UU Info on Friday, and it contains much more detail in the way of announcements. One thing that wasn't in the order of service that I want to mention is next Sunday is Father's Day. And I would love to have you send me a picture of your father that we might use in a collage during the service. And along with the picture, Jessica would love to get some music, a piece of music that you know your father loved, or a piece of music that reminds you of your father. So remember, next Sunday is Father's Day. Think about sending us a picture and a piece of music. If you're feeling the need to speak to someone during this time of pandemic, you can reach out to me or to Sylvia Mattinson of our caring committee. I can be reached at 902-229-9239. And every Thursday evening at 7 p.m., we're hosting an online gathering to allow us to break out of our isolation. Details for how to connect to that gathering are also in the order of service that was sent out. Thank you. A note in the order of service also was a Black Lives Matter Roundtable, a Canadian UU perspective, which will be Thursday, June the 25th at 8 p.m. Again, consult the order of service for details. Oh dear. So each service we pause to acknowledge that we're on unceded Mi'kmaq territory. That acknowledgement is totally insufficient today, in particular, following the deaths of Chantel Moore and Rodney Levy here in the land of Mi'kmaq. I admit my personal profound sorrow and shame. The original settlers of Turtle Island built relationships with Indigenous peoples because they needed those relationships to survive. Since then, we've gotten very busy, and we haven't needed those relationships, and we've allowed them to deteriorate. Our congregation is working in different ways to try and restore relationships with our Indigenous people, and if you'd like to be part of that, please contact me. And now we have a prelude. I invite Jessica to help center ourselves with our prelude this morning.
Good morning, everyone. The prelude I have chosen today is June Bar Carolle by Tchaikovsky. Tchaikovsky was a Russian composer, and this piece is actually part of a series of character pieces called The Seasons. Many of you may be familiar with that. So I'm going to be playing June because it is June, and it's based on the seasons in Russia. So I want you to listen to the little melodies, see what you can imagine, see what spring animals in bloom sound like.
Thank you. This morning, I'll light our chalice here in the sanctuary, accompanied by these words adapted by the writings of Norbert Chapek. We light our chalice this morning in the name of Providence, which implants in the hearts of the seed the future of the flower, and which implants in our hearts the unrest which will not be quenched till people live together lovingly with each other. So it's the middle of June and we're at the end of the religious exploration year. And so this morning our RE director, Marie-Claude Leroux, has prepared a short recap of the highlights of the year together. I know you'll be impressed. Marie-Claude, to you.
Good morning, everyone. Today I will be sharing a quick review of what the children and youth have been doing this past year in our religious exploration program. The RE program was in 2 groups, both following a tapestry of faith curricula. The younger children have been learning about the 7 principles in the context of a beloved community. Seen here are the love notes that the children made for any and all to enjoy. The older children have been having lively, rich spiritual discussions with Janet and Pam Berman. They've been exploring ethical questions and how a UU identity can help them navigate some of the tough situations that they might come across. They also participated in Pink Shirt Day, and they designed their own anti-bullying t-shirts. The past year, we became involved with the Caring Committee, making heartfelt cards for those who could use a friendly note. We also became involved with community programs outside the church, including making cards and treats for the Mental Health Association with the Christmas hampers, and birthday bags for Family SOS for children and families who might not have the same opportunities. Our Christmas season was particularly festive with the annual tradition of making Christmas crackers and our first gingerbread house fundraiser. May also have been our last. We embarked over the year in an exploration of various different houses of worship. Families came together to visit a Hindu temple, a Jewish synagogue, and a Catholic basilica. The children were full of questions and curiosity, and as were the rest of us adults. We continued throughout the year again with spirit art. Each month, both groups of children gathered together for a creative exploration guided by members of the congregation. Some of these introduced the kids to multicultural celebrations and ideas. In the fall, we once again learned about and celebrated Day of the Dead with Andy Blair and Claudia de Fuentes. We painted sugar skulls and we put together an ofrenda. We also learned about the Hindu tradition of Diwali, the Hindu festival of lights, with Shripad pens, during which the kids made their own diyas. Other spirit art sessions were passions shared with us. Scott Wood taught us about communication and amateur radio, giving the kids the chance to learn Morse code. And Jim Morrison taught us about Nigerian masks, showing us real masks from his travels. And the kids made their own. And although we haven't been together in person since late March, we've continued to meet online. The children have continued to learn about the 7 principles, and youth have had the chance to spend time online with our minister, Norm, discussing the means of leading a good life. We may not be together in person at church, but the children have left their traces there. Marilyn Chinier assembled the collaborative quilt with squares that children have decorated last year. She put much love and attention into this quilt, and it now hangs in our church. The butterfly garden the children planted last spring is in full bloom. We look forward to gathering together in person soon. It's been another fulfilling year of learning together and creating bonds with each other and as part of our faith community. And it wouldn't have been possible without the help, work, and support of all those who participated in the RE program. It genuinely enriches the children's experience to share in the program with members of the congregation. And so I want to send out some personal thanks. Thank you, Janet and Pam, for teaching and guiding our youth every month. Thank you, Danielle and Catherine, for always being available as a resource and an extra helping hand. Thank you to Andy, Claudia, Shripad, Jim, Scott, Alan, and Leslie for sharing of your time, your cultures, and your passions with us. Thank you to Troy and Pam Griffin-Hody for offering your time to help. Thank you, Sylvia, for embracing our collaboration with the Caring Committee. Thank you, Eleanor, for sharing the importance of laughter and leading a good life. And thank you, Marilyn, for the beautiful gift of a quilt that you've given the church. A special thanks to Paige and Lauren, who volunteered their time every week to help with the children's program. And of course, none of this could have been done without Norm and his support and organizing all our houses of worship. So thank you to everyone, and thank you for participating.
And thank you, Marie-Claude. You are a blessing for this congregation. And now Jessica has selected an opening hymn for our flower communion service. Jessica.
When the summer sun is shining over golden land and sea, and the flowers in the hedgerow welcome butterflies and bees, then my open heart is glowing, full of warmth for everyone, and I feel an inner beauty which reflects the summer sun. When the summer clouds of thunder bring the long-awaited rain, and the thirsty soil is moistened, and help me sing the last verse. My music fell. In the cool of summer, when the dancing insects play, and in the garden, street, and meadow linger echoes of this day, then my heart is full of yearning, hopes and memories flood, of my reaching inwards to the corners of my soul. Thanks for helping me out.
Nice recovery, Jessica. Thank you. We take this special time now to reflect on our joys and sorrows. It's a sacred time in our service. It's a time that we set apart to honor the many joys and the sorrows that you, the congregation, are living, and to acknowledge the mutual support of our community. Each week, I invite anyone with a joy or a sorrow to share at this time, to relay their thoughts to me by email. The first candle this morning is in memory of Chantal Moore and in support of her family and friends. Chantal was killed a week ago in a confrontation with police. And incredibly, I have a second candle in the memory of Rodney Levy, killed this past Friday in another confrontation with police in New Brunswick. These two tragedies came to pass when police become the last resort for dealing with what are mental health issues brought on by a history of racism in this country. This morning, I was hoping to have Warren Delkeith with us. Warren lives in the neighborhood. He's of Indigenous descent, family in Winnipeg. And his father just died this week, Ed Gaskill. And I told Warren that I would be lighting a candle for his father today. I'd also like to light a candle for the members and friends of our congregation who are shut in long-term care homes. We now have hope of being able to visit. I think effective Monday, different institutions are starting to open up to allow visitors under very strict conditions. The exact procedures in most cases have yet to be worked out. But I have one candle again this morning for John Patterson, Marie Davis, George Marenfeld, Irisha Cox, and Ann Wood. And Barbara Harsani has asked that we light a candle for her and for Rodney, and in particular for her granddaughter Erica, who is still in hospital. It's a great burden on Barbara, as we all know, and Rodney's health is not good. So it's a very difficult time. Later, when we stop the live streaming on YouTube and before the coffee hour begins, I'll invite anyone else who would like to share a joy or a sorrow to do so. And now Jessica will lead us in a reflective hymn, a hymn that was written by Norbert Chapek.
So we will be singing Mother Spirit, Father Spirit. If my music falls, will you keep singing? Mother Spirit, Father Spirit, where are you? In the sky, song in the forest sounds your cry. What to give you, what to call you, whatever. Many drops are in the ocean, deep and wide. Your sunlight dances up the ripples to the sky. What to give you, what to call you, who am I am empty, time's flying by me, what is time? Dreams eternal, fear infernal haunt my heart. What to give you, what to call you, oh my God. Mother Spirit, let me hear you sing it. Mother Spirit, Father Spirit, take our hearts. Take a breath and let our voices sing our parts. Take our hands and let us work to shape our art.
Thank you, Jessica. May the joys and sorrows, both those acknowledged here this morning and those held in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts, weave us together in the interdependent fabric that is our community. Heather Ritchie and Eddie have just joined the service, and Eddie's going to do a reading for us.
All of us are beautiful. We come in a variety of colors, shapes, and sizes. Some of us grow in bunches. Some of us grow alone. Some of us are cupped inward, and some of us are spread ourselves out wide. Some of us are old and dried and tougher than we appear. Some of us are still in bud. Some of us grow low to the ground. And some of us stretch towards the sun. Some of us feel like weeds sometimes. Some of us carry seeds sometimes. Some of us are prickly sometimes. Some of us smell. All of us are beautiful. What a bouquet of people we are.
Thank you, Eddie. I'm just reflecting on those words from someone who is old and dried and tougher than I appear to someone who is still in bud. Thank you, Eddie. And now I'd like to invite Marie-Claude to tell us about the very first flower communion.
For our virtual flower communion, the RE children have created flowers for all of us to see. If you put your screen on gallery view, they will show us their flower creations. I believe the Sonias are showing some right now. I see a beautiful one from Destiny and Jason. Oh, and Eddie has some flowers that he's showing. Those are a beautiful bouquet. And Rowan and Miranda are showing their flowers as well. Thank you. Thank you for showing your beautiful flowers you made for our virtual flower communion. So now I'm going to share with you the story of the first flower ceremony. Come with me as we travel to the city of Prague in Czechoslovakia in the year of 1923. There was a Unitarian church, but the building did not look much like a church. It had no bells, no spires, no stained glass windows. It didn't even have a piano. It had no carvings of wood or statues of stone. It had no candles or chalices. It had no flowers. The church did have some things. It had 4 walls and a ceiling and a floor. It had a door and a few windows, and it had some hard wooden chairs. Except the church also had people who came to it every Sunday. And they were the most important part of the church. Because without people, any church is just a building, no matter how tall its steeple. The people of Prague had been through hard times. They had just recently been through 4 years of war. Many people had been divided about the war. Many had lost loved ones, or had been hungry, or scared. And even though the war had ended, many had bad feelings that still remained. The church also had a minister, and his name was Norbert Čapek. Reverend Čapek had been the minister at the Plain and Simple Church for 2 years. And every Sunday, he spoke to the people while they listened. sitting quietly in those hard wooden chairs. When he was done speaking, the people talked a little among themselves, and then they went home. And that was all. No music, no candles, no food. Now, Reverend Chapek was a thinker, and he wondered sometimes if there might be something, perhaps just a little something more spiritual. He wrote some songs, and the people sang them, and it helped, but something was still missing. One spring morning, as he went out for a stroll, he noticed the birds were singing, the flowers were blooming, and he felt the sunshine on his face. How beautiful the world is. Then an idea came to him, simple and clear, plain as day. The next Sunday, he asked all the people to bring a flower or a budding branch to church the next week. What kind, they asked. What color? What size? You choose, he said. Each of you choose what you like. And so, on the next Sunday, which was the first day of summer, the people came with flowers of all colors and sizes and kinds. There were yellow flowers and blue asters and white daisies, dark-eyed pansies, and light green leaves. Children helped arrange them and bring them forward to the front of the church. Flowers filled all the vases, and beauty filled their hearts. The church wasn't so plain anymore. They had created beauty together. Reverend Chapek spoke to the people while they listened, sitting quiet and still in those hard wooden chairs. These flowers are like us, he said. Different colors, in different shapes, and different sizes. Each needing different kinds of care, but each beautiful, important, and special in its own way. He said a blessing of the flowers, which called for everyone in the room to see one another as family, despite differences, and to let the spirit of love unite them and help them live more joyfully. He invited each person to take a flower home with them when they left, a different flower than what they had brought. When the service ended that day, the people turned and talked a little bit more among themselves. And maybe there was some laughter. Then they each chose a flower from the vases before they left and took it home as a gift from their church family. Each year, at the start of summer, they did this again. And that was all. And it was beautiful, plain as simple as the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie-Claude. So in a typical year, UU congregations, at least in the Northern Hemisphere at this time of year, would be celebrating flower communion. I double checked on Google last night and see that it's done in the Southern Hemisphere in November. So we would be celebrating flower communion today with people bringing flowers to the service, sharing flowers, and leaving with flowers. But today, in this time of pandemic, we're challenged to find a new way to celebrate this ritual within our congregation. So I asked members and friends to send me pictures of flowers as a place to start. And the response has been great. Thank you so much for those who sent me some pictures. So that was a place to start. It was a good idea, send me some pictures. But as I looked at the pictures, it wasn't immediately obvious where we would be going on this journey this morning. And then I listened once more to the story of the first flower communion, and I saw the genesis of what I want to say to you today. The story of the first flower communion is uplifting, inspiring, and joyful, but that's only one side of the coin. The first flower communion was celebrated by Norbert Chapek with his wife Maya in Prague on June 24th, 1923. And it is a beautiful story. A short 18 years later, in 1941, Czechoslovakia was under German occupation, and Norbert Čapek was arrested for listening to foreign radio broadcasts. He was sentenced to a year in jail, but amid a wave of executions and deportations, the Gestapo officer overrode the court sentence and ordered that Norbert Čapek be sent to a concentration camp in Dachau. Return unwanted was the way the papers were marked. Norbert would die in the internment camp in Dachau within the year. Two stories. A beautiful story of the flower communion and a horrible story of the death of Norbert Čapek. Neither one of those stories should be forgotten. Neither one should be remembered without the other. We live our lives for the most part aware of the beauty all around us, and at the same time aware of the ugliness and the injustice and the suffering in life. It's good, and we must recognize both. The Buddha said, whatever you frequently think and ponder upon, that will become the inclination of your mind. I think I know what you've been thinking and pondering on lately. Let me guess. This morning, at least for the next 15 minutes or so, I'd like to restore some balance in our lives. Let's turn our minds, for at least this short time together, away from the problems of humanity and toward the beauty that is all around us. I'm delighted that so many of you took the time to go outside and to take some pictures of flowers, turning your attention away from the daily news represented by this slide. In difficult times, we feel isolated, cut off from the world, and we can find connection in nature. And this is such an amazingly beautiful time of year. I took these pictures of rhododendrons in my front yard over a period of just 3 days. From June the 9th, as you can see, till June the 13th. 4 days, I guess. And I like to think that the flowers bursting forth are like a change that sweeps over the human face when we break into a smile. And here's another picture of a volunteer flower in my front yard. I took the picture, but it was only later, when I looked closely at the picture, that I realized the beauty that had been before me. I think that if we were sufficiently developed spiritually, we could spend the remaining time in this sermon in meditation, just staring at this beautiful dandelion flower in all its perfection of form and function. Is it not perfect? For those of us who had difficulty meditating for the next 15 minutes, I offer some accompanying facts to help you appreciate the beauty of what is before you. The name dandelion comes from the French dent de lion, a lion's tooth, a reference to the shape of the leaves. And what you're looking at is a composite flower head made up of many tiny flowers. Each flower will yield one of the parachute seeds that will be carried away by the wind. Dandelions are thought to have evolved about 30 million years ago in Eurasia. And the entire plant, including leaves and stems and flowers and roots, is edible. And it has been used by humans for food and medicine, from the ancient Egyptians, Romans, Chinese, to the indigenous peoples here of Turtle Island. The seeds that we may curse as they blow across our lawn are an important source of food for some birds. They provide an important source of nectar and pollen early in the season for bees, the flowers do. And their long tap roots bring up nutrients for shallow-rooted plants. And here's an interesting fact. They produce latex. Latex that exhibits the same qualities as natural rubber from rubber trees. And in fact, in 2017, a Chinese company invested $500 million into making commercial viable rubber from dandelions. There's something to meditate on. And the dandelion composite flower is not only beautiful, but when it goes to seed, if you have your mind in the right place, it is exquisitely beautiful. As beautiful as it is when it's in flower. I was delighted by many of the pictures that I received by the fact that they were wildflowers, including these mayflowers. And I meant to go out and look for mayflowers in Nova Scotia, and I'm glad that I got a picture of them because I've never actually seen a mayflower in the wild. Other flowers like clovers and daisies were bringing beauty to the most difficult terrain on the gravel shoulder of a paved road. And here's a picture from the other end of the spectrum. I received this picture from a visitor to our church who lives in Virginia now and cultivates and photographs tree peonies. He's been doing it for years. And this picture came with a note. During travels through Europe in 1979, I came across a black cactus rose. Its scientific name is Aeonium arboreum. This one was growing all by itself among the rocks outside a cave in Monaco. And then I received pictures of floral arrangements. So now I hope to continue to hold your focus on the beauty of the flowers around us by offering this montage with musical accompaniment by Jessica. Thanks to everyone who submitted pictures. I hope I didn't leave any outs. And I hope I've taken your mind off some of the more tragic things going on in the world at the moment. We need both sides of the coin to live a good life. We need to acknowledge the suffering and the tragedy in life, and we need to appreciate the glories of nature and the many gifts that surround us every day. So speaking of gifts that surround us, it's now my great pleasure to introduce a wonderfully creative musician, a beautiful spirit, and a friend of this congregation. John, over to you.
can be hard to show the people that cause you pain how bad it makes you feel. Something very private about feeling so sad. Don't want to share it with someone who doesn't understand. But now you can let go. Everybody's gone now. You can breathe out. Let your guard down. You can let go. Nobody is here now. Nobody can see how much they have upset you. Got some time to work out who this might belong to, how it feels where you are. Just an old traveler, working on some old news. Just an old traveler, feeling it as it comes through. Like going back in time, feeling it all again. Took so long to realize, soon this too will end. A traveler, soon this too will end. A traveler. Might be something from years before. Something you thought you had an answer for. You can let go. Something from years ago. Now here it is again. Just saying hello, hello. You can let go. Then one day it takes you like a surprise, when for so many years it's been there right in front of your eyes. Only thing to do is give in with grace to the warmth and the beauty of the tears on your face, and know you're just an old traveler, working on some old news. Just an old traveler, feeling it as it comes through. These feelings never die. Now it's changing like the wind. Took so long to realize, soon this too will end. A traveler, soon this too will end. A traveler. Nobody's gonna make fun of anyone here. Nobody's gonna make fun of anyone here. Traveler, working on some old news. Just an old traveler, feeling it as it comes through. Like going back in time, feeling it all again. Took so long to realize, soon this too will end. A traveler, soon this too will end. A traveler, soon this too will end. A traveler, just an old traveler, working on some old news. Just an old traveler, yeah, feeling it as it comes through. Like going back in time, I'm feeling it all again. Took so long to realize, soon this too will end.
Thank you, John, on behalf of the entire congregation.
Thank you.
When you play, I don't know where you begin and the music ends. You become one with the music. Thank you. Now it's time in the service for the offering. Our offering represents for us a ritual, a time to celebrate the importance of generosity in leading a good life. And the congregation has responded again and again to this call. I have a message this morning from the board of the church. In this trying time, your generous donation to our Saturday brunch, and the minister's discretionary fund have been amazing, and these two funds are doing well. However, it seems likely that our total income for the year will be down, as both fundraising events and the occasional space rentals that we normally have are unlikely under present circumstances. It's also possible that some people will be unable to meet their pledges due to the financial ramifications of the pandemic. So even though some expenses will also be down, we're anticipating that we may face a deficit for the year. If you'd like to assist with this, please consider increasing your monthly pledge or occasionally making an unpledged donation by e-transfer to treasurer@uuch.ca. If you prefer to do this by check, send a check directly to the church address. This message with gratitude from your board of directors. I now invite Jessica to lead us in our closing hymn.
Hello, everyone. That was a wonderful message, wonderful music by Jaunt. I really appreciate that. So for the final hymn today, I've chosen De Colore. It is a Spanish folk song dating back to, I think they said, the 16th century. So I'm very excited about this. I don't know Spanish. That's why I'm not going to cheat and sing it, because I know there's some people who speak Spanish. So maybe you can teach me. But please join along. Be thankful for this day, and let's sing along. All the colors, yes, the colors we see in the springtime with all of its flowers. All the colors, when the sunlight shines through a rift in the clouds and the showers. All the colors, as the rainbow appears where a storm cloud is touched by the sun. All the colors about for the whole world around, for everyone under the sun. Oh, the colors, yes, the colors of people parading on by with the banners. Oh, the colors, yes, the colors of pennants and streamers and plums and bandanas. Oh, the colors, yes, the colors of people now taking place in the sun. All the colors about for the whole world around, for everyone under the sun. All the colors, yes, the black and the white and the red and the brown and the yellow. All the colors of people who smile and shake hands and say hello. All the colors, yes, the colors of people who know what their freedom is worth. All the colors about for the whole world around and for everyone under the sun.
Thank you. And now I invite the whole Saunier family to assist with reading the words for extinguishing our chalice.
Good morning, everyone. This is Troy here, and we're going to have Abby start us off, and then Destiny, Tristan, Kyla, and finally Jason do our extinguishing of the chalice. So go ahead, Abby.
Enter into the communion of flowers, and enter with joyful hearts. Enter with fervent thoughts. It has taken long months beneath cold ground for these flowers to prepare their blooming.
Go ahead, Tristan.
It has taken each of us long times of growth through sorrow and joy to prepare us for our living now. The blooming season is short. The flowers stay only a brief time. We are travelers upon the earth, travelers through all the brief lifetimes.
Therefore, let our moments be bountiful. Let us rejoice in our unique colors, aromas, and sounds. Let us celebrate together in love. That us we travel away, we take with us the memory of golden hours together among the flowers.
Back to you, Norm.
Thank you. And now I'll extinguish the chalice here in our sanctuary until the day when we can be back here together in person. Today we held our first ever virtual flower communion. And as we come to the end of the service, may we be reminded that even in the midst of a pandemic and crisis, we're blessed with spirit restoring beauty in the flowers that bloom and in the faces that smile all around us. Once again, I extinguish the chalice here in the sanctuary, looking forward to the day when we can be together again in body as well as spirit. Thank you all who attended this service today by Zoom. I would thank those who attended by YouTube, but I think we had a technical problem with YouTube today. But if there is anyone on YouTube, I say goodbye to you now as we end our live streaming. I hope that you'll take images of beauty from today's service into the week ahead.